Hi everyone, it's James here from Risk Assessor Pro, and today I'm going to show you how easy it is to do a risk assessment on your phone or tablet. So first we're going to want to make sure that we're on the risk assessment section of the app. We can do that by just clicking here and bringing up the menu and then selecting risk assessment. Once we've done that, we're going to want to click on new assessment and it will open up the first page of developing a risk assessment within our system. We're going to want to type in the project name, then select our assessor. If we've got multiple users, we'll have a drop down there. Then we're going to want to bring attention to any key working staff. This could be the staff doing the job. It could be team leaders, supervisors, first aiders, anyone you want to specifically draw attention to. Just make sure in your policies and procedures and your guidance to doing risk assessments, you make that very clear as to what this means. So we'll select our key working staff. We've got our start date, end date, and our assessment date. Because we're on our phone, we can also add GPS, which is a great function if you've got multiple teams working all across the nation. We can also add weather forecast, which is a great function for managing the risk of outside workers. It'll give us 16 days and it breaks down sunrise, sunset, rain, humidity, wind speed, pressure, visibility, and UV index, and our temperature up here. Click next, and that will add that to the end of the document. We can put in here a description of the works. I'll just put a brief set of numbers for us to speedily whiz through this demo. We can add a reference photo if we would like to. So a reference photo would literally just be a picture for reference. But if we click next, it will also ask us if we want to proceed with a photo. If we say yes, proceed with a photo, and take a picture of a construction site or our manufacturing unit, or anything that we are assessing, we click OK. And then what it will do, if we click next, it will put a grid over our picture. Now, over here, we've got our hazards. If we want to find out more about them, we can just click key. If we want to change our hazard library that we've pre-made, the one that we're operating from today, we can change the over here by clicking on this book. And what we do now is go and find the hazards that we think apply by selecting the icon, and we drag that icon over to where it applies on that picture. If we want to add a hazard that's not on here, we can just click this button here and it will take us through the process to add a new hazard. Once we're happy with that, we'll click next and it takes us back to original portrait mode, and then we can go through individually. If we want to change any of these, we can do. We can just put in here area 1, for example. So you can make it site specific, but you've done all the legwork in the hazard library before. We click next and it will take us through our worst case outcome, our likelihood, and who is at risk. These can be set as default in your hazards and control library, but you still can change them when you're on site. So we might say we change that to minor injury, we're going to change that to likely, and who is at risk, we've got employees and contractors. Then we could go through and select the control measures that are in place, and we're going to decide whether they're already in place or additional. So if we say they're additional, it will give us an additional likelihood with new controls. And then we want to say that that brings the likelihood down, for example. Again, if we wanted to add a control measure, we can. We just click add and it opens up a new box for us there. And we click next and we rinse and repeat for every hazard that we have selected, making sure that we've got our likelihood correct, our severity correct, our who is at risk correct, and the control measures that we have in place or that we're going to put in place or have put in place additional, all selected correctly for that hazard. And we carry on until we finish all the hazards that we've selected. Once we've done that, it will ask us if we want to signpost for any further assessments. So maybe there's some cost assessments that need to be referred to. We would just select them there, and the risk assessment would just signpost that people need to be aware there are other important documents. Any other persons involved that have not been highlighted. So for example, we've got employees and contractors working on the job, but there's also members of public around. So we're going to want to highlight them as well. Are there any special groups that require additional legal risk assessments or documents, say a young person, for example? We want to flag that up in the document as well. We click next. If we want to set a reminder to follow up or review this document, we can do here by selecting yes and selecting a date. If we wanted to review it, so we wanted to give it to someone else and they review it and sign it off, we can do. If we wanted to hand this round as signed off as read and understood with the team, we can do. For the sake of this demo, we'll skip those bits for now. Once we got past the disclaimer, we can now see our finished document. So we've got our project name, our description, our signposting for further assessments, persons involved, and individual assessments required. We've got our start date, end date. We've got our key working staff that we want to bring attention to. We've got our hazards and who is at risk. We've got our controls, our matrix, our additional controls, and our final matrix. There's a key down here on the left, and then signed off by myself, who completed the risk assessment. Once we go down to the bottom, we can see our grid reference picture. And then once we go past that, we can scroll down to see our GPS and our weather. And that's it. We click save, complete, and that's how you do a risk assessment on your phone.